Hey guys. Okay, I am here to help answer all the questions. There's so much confusion on what to put on our skin to help look radiant, what ingredients to look for, all the things. I'm bringing in my friend Amate, founder of Young Goose. Let me call him in just a second. And I've got some questions. Okay, Young. So you guys can put your questions below as we are doing this IG Live here. This will be saved on the grid. Hi, Amate.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming. We are going to break down all the confusion. I think us women and men these days are like inundated with information. And I know for me, and I've been in the wellness space, the natural wellness space for almost 2 decades now, and I get super confused and overwhelmed. So in this IG Live, we are going to break down products that I've been using. I have some questions on these and how to use them. We can talk about some of the other stuff. And we've got an epic discount for all the listeners here. So we'll share that at the end too. So thanks for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank you. I think you're right to be confused. I think also, zooming out a little bit, we're still in the midst of the journey to understanding how to tackle aging on a cellular level. So I think science is confused, or at least not. It's not a done deal, and things always are being updated, and innovations always happen. On one hand, that's our mission at Young Goose, to be the company that kind of translates it into products that are ready to use. But on the other hand, unfortunately, it makes us a little bit confusing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest things that everybody finally learned over the last handful of years is science takes time.
Yeah.
Right. And I love your brain. I love the way your mind works. I mean, we've had conversations before. You're at like every single event, speaking on every stage of the events that we tend to go to. And I just love the way that your mind works. And I know we've talked about this, but you are my favorite kind of people. It's like you've got a mission in your heart, you are full of integrity, and you're not for BS. And so, like, these are the kinds of people that I love to put you know, on my platform because we're super aligned and we're here to help people and make an impact and to just kind of make all the information as easy as possible. So here we go.
Amen.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start. I was actually getting my sauna this morning and I was using, you guys sent me this to try out and I'm loving it. The LADR serum, and I know it's one of the newer products and it's red light activated.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, a lot of people now are hearing the power of red light and understanding that like sun slash therapeutic red light is really important and beneficial.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how this little bugger works. Like I put it on before the sauna. I know we can put it on before we go outside in the sun. Like what is actually happening? Because I think, a lot of us think of I love the sun. I know it's so important for our health, our cells, everything. And then there's also like that little bit of a concern about aging our skin.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of discussion around, is sun something that we should be striving to get as much as we can of, or maybe not as much as we can, but a lot, and when should we do it, etc. And I think something to understand is that our skin is designed to interact with the sun or interact with the environment. But our skin, unfortunately, is also uniquely predisposed to be impacted by the sun and by other environmental stressors. Although it's one of its main goals is to prevent the rest of our body from getting damaged. So yes, it's true that sun is important, but if we kind of zero down on our appearance and kind of rewinding the biological age of the skin specifically, we definitely want to minimize exposure or stacking exposures. You're dressed right now kind of with a hat and with an open shirt, but you are getting more exposure to anything from light that is filtered through your window, which has less of the beneficial wavelengths and more of the harmful wavelengths, actually, to EMFs, to pollution, to whatever that is, that is an area that is being exposed to more. And because of that, your mitochondria is less efficient in tackling other types of damage or providing, energy, etc. Conversely, if you are getting exposed to red light therapy, by the way, and you are optimizing mitochondrial function, if you do go to the sun afterwards, or there are other pollutants, other stressors that are going to damage your skin through oxidative stress, which everything that I just said translates to oxidative stress, your skin is going to get less damage. And that has been shown time and time again as far as scientific studies, that better mitochondrial function equals better management of damage from environmental stressors and vice versa. So that's kind of where we start the discussion about, red light therapy, which is what it does. It actually improves mitochondrial function. It doesn't signal, it's not a good, or it's not an efficient, robust signaling for repair actually, but it's a potentiator for repair. It allows our mitochondria to function optimally, our cells to then get optimal amount of life force, really youthful energy, but really the force of life. And then your cells can do what they're supposed to be doing, whatever that is, whatever cell that is, right? Like our skin cell, our brain, wherever the light hits. Yeah.
So, okay, so a few questions I got in that, and then you guys can put your questions below if or when they come up. So you're saying before we go outside, exposure to red light, like therapeutic red light, is important. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and you this morning went into this sauna space, which sauna space is kind of a mixture between thermal infrared and visible red, which kind of gives you both. Gives you, thermal energy, gives you heat, and gives you some chemical energy in the form of ATP, which is the life force I referred to. So, having said that, I actually am not 100% sure how much ATP is being made there, like what is the power of the red light. And so I can't say 100% that that's the device that you would want to use, or you would want to use something with only like red and near infrared, which is kind of non-thermal. But I'm sure both of them have advantages as far as like red light is concerned, as far as the sun is concerned. So yeah, what we want to do is get a red light therapy session, near infrared light session, right before we go to the sun, and we can significantly diminish damage, pigmentation, general aging that is caused by sun exposure.
Now, would we get the same effect if you catch morning sunlight, like sunrise?
Well, that is kind of how we hypothesize that red light therapy works, is by mimicking. So basically, like the more air and water light passes through, the more red it's going to have rather than blue, basically, or UV. And that's why in the morning and in the evening, first of all, if the sun is close to the horizon, actually is a colored red, right? But also that means that more of the beneficial therapeutic rays actually hit your skin rather than midday. Having said that, the proportion is still very, very much very different. Whereas you're going to have the entire spectrum, and what we're doing when we have like that red light therapy panel or something like that, we're kind of tricking the body to think that there is a full spectrum there. The body has no idea, but we're only giving it red and near infrared. So I guess both would be beneficial, certainly. But as far as let's do this because we can do it. Like, let's say we understand that we're going to be exposed to midday sun. It's not like we can travel back in time and do something about it. No, we just gotta hop in front of a red light, 5-10 minutes, and we're gonna be better for it.
Okay. So in summary, you're going to be out in midlight sun, peak sun. You want to protect your skin. The best thing to do is to get 5-10 minutes in front of a red light panel.
Mm-hmm.
Check?
Yeah.
Done. Okay, cool. Now, tell me, why would you put on the LADR serum before that red light session? Like, what is that doing to protect your
Yeah. Okay. So, there are products in the market, and a lot of them we've actually designed and continue designing for different brands, where they are going to be using or going to improve the efficacy of red light. We actually do it for many companies, even without connection to red light, just as far as like exercise, make you sweat more in the sauna, things like that. Sometimes we're not allowed contractually to say what companies these are. In the case of like a really big company right now in the space, they're going to have our logo on the back of their bottle because we believe that it's such a good product. We want to get some credit for it, to be honest. But what we did with the LADR serum or ladder serum, it's called light activated DNA repair, is we did something different where we said, let's use the red light as something that kind of activates different actives that are separate from the effects that we get from red light. Okay. So the first thing we start with actually is our signature molecules, which are our signature NAD precursors and spermidine, things that in general contribute to better mitochondrial function. So NAD is the fuel for the mitochondria, from lack of a better term. So that's pure cellular energy that your powerhouse of the cells, the mitochondria, kind of use to create the energy that your body uses. And the spermidine allows, so one of the things that happen with red light that is pretty cool is that it stresses the mitochondria actually, and long-term creates more mitochondria, which is really cool. So you're going to have more engines per cell. And spermidine allows that to happen in a much more efficient way. So we're eliminating old mitochondria. That's called mitophagy. And we're creating better, more youthful mitochondria. So it's imagine you could have it for your car. It would have been amazing. Every time you go to the shop, they just replace your engine for a new one.
Well, it's like autophagy. Like everyone's talking about autophagy with fasting, right? It's like Pac-Man come in. I mean, your body eats itself through fasting.
Yeah.
Pac-Man come in, eat those old cells, and your body
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
So it creates new young cells.
So
yeah.
Most people don't know that they autophagy is a huge umbrella term, and within autophagy there are subsets of different cells and their parts and how that happens within them. So mitophagy is specifically for mitochondria, but that happens from spermidine actually activates that entire gamut of autophagies, right? Of self-eating of different things. So we're actually improving how mitochondria gets regenerated. After that, we have introduced a extract of spirulina that actually is a really cool product because it is photoluminescent. It actually creates light, similar to how we had those watches in like whatever 20, 30 years ago, where they would glow in the dark. And then they removed this material because apparently it's like not great for you if it breaks.
Oops.
But that little extract does that as well, but it does it with it actually glows in amber light. So I give it one photon, I give it like a red or near infrared. It's going to let it pass through, but it's also going to glow in an amber light as well. So we're kind of increasing the amount of light passing through the tissue. So that's number one. Number two, we have really, really cool enzymes. They're DNA repair enzymes. And they need a very light-rich environment to get activated. So the problem with enzymes normally is that they are very active and they're going to react with things before we get them where we want to get them. So by having these enzymes kind of absorb all the way in, we apply this serum like 2 minutes before red light therapy. They absorb all the way in. They're dormant, so they just kind of absorb like a normal material. But then when they are completely absorbed into skin cells, we activate them by red, near infrared, far infrared, as far as sauna, the sun, whatever that is, they get activated and they go after the damaged parts of the DNA that were damaged because of UV. And there is a few studies showing how these photosomes or lysosomes, they have different names, they actually they're coded to target damaged DNA due to UV radiation, which beforehand was thought to be impossible to repair damage from UV radiation as far as the DNA. So that is magic in and on its own, together with the spirulina extract, which is called spirulina AP. It's even more magic. And we have other things there that combine together with it. So anything from different peptides that help you create collagen, a complex that help you make your own NAD, an antioxidant that is specifically for your mitochondria, which is called ergothioneine, which is starting to become popular now. So you have like different ingredients there that really piggyback on the effects of what we're talking about.
Okay, cool. So, in effort to super
Yeah,
simplify the brainy science behind your mind that I love,
yeah.
talk to me like I'm a woman who's just like,
Sure.
tell me what does UV
So,
damage do to what my skin looks like, and tell me
yeah.
how this is going to help.
So the problem with UV is that everything we're talking about, whether it is like making you pigmented and all of that, that's a cool story. But what it does on the level of kind of your cell's brain, your cell's identity, it fries it. So your cells are getting confused as far as what they even are supposed to do.
Mm.
And that is something that is irrelevant to any other. So it really, it's outside any other discussion. Even if you are someone that is fully convinced that the sun is going to is your life force and you have to have sun all the time, this is something that we cannot argue against because we can measure it. We know exactly how much sun you got due to that frying of a specific area of your DNA. And it's specifically, if there are letters of the DNA that's one next to another, we know they're going to get fried. And we know your cells are going to get like super confused. And the more you do it, the more confused cells are. So let's say the cells that's supposed to create collagen, they don't understand that they need to create collagen. Then you have less collagen. Then you have more wrinkles. Cells that are supposed to create even pigment, they get fried. They don't have an understanding how an even pigment looks like. So you have spots, dark spots, etc. And that goes to laxity. That goes to the bounciness of your skin. That goes to even the ability of your skin to kind of hold on to moisture. Like anything that you think about aging or that someone experiences because of aging is being exacerbated because of that interaction with the sun. So we previously thought that this is irreversible. That the minute that frying happens, it's like if you burnt your food. What are you gonna do? If you gotta, either you gotta scrape it off, or you're gonna throw it and start from the beginning. But what we've learned is that these enzymes, they go and they actually kind of eat the fried parts and they reveal the correct information of what it means to be that cell. You could imagine, if you remember, like when you used to have CDs,
Yeah.
if they got scratched, you could kind of use like toothpaste or whatever and kind of polish it off. Exactly. So it's kind of the same thing. You can polish off that CD and it's going to work better. And CD is a good example of how information looks like and then being used in real life. So we can use these enzymes to polish off the CD and kind of remind the cells what it means to have a youthful function. And then you get more of the things that we want your skin to be and do. More collagen, more elastin, more hyaluronic acid, all these magical words that skincare companies say that they have in their products. But the problem is that I can try and give that to your cells all day and every day. Your cells they've never had the experience of receiving it from the outside, so they're not going to use it. So it's all, wishful thinking. what we really need to do on a cellular level, on a longevity-based science level, is remind your cells how to do the job themselves.
Mm-hmm. So it's like giving a precursor. Kind of.
It's a precursor. No. So precursors are a little bit of a different story. What it is, it literally is a polisher, right? Like it literally is something that takes the damaged part and reverses it, but reverses it by eating it up. It that's how it works. It eats up the fusion between those parts of your DNA, part of your skin identity, parts of the recipe of what it means to be, whatever that is. It really, cells are like recipe books.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are. The DNA is like a recipe book. It needs to create a collagen cake, opens the collagen cake page, reads the recipe. If the letters of the recipe are all blotched up, then we use those enzymes and they eat the ink that's blotched up between the recipe text, and now we can read the text, and now we can create the most beautiful collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid cake.
Love it. So would you not take collagen internally then? I'm curious your thoughts on that.
You could, but you are not but your body is going to, in order for those ingredients to absorb in your small intestine, they're going to be break down to their basic amino acids, their building blocks of amino acids. And that is a good thing to a certain extent, because then your body can use them to build up collagen wherever we need. But it's not a one-to-one ratio. And by the way, your body needs collagen in many different places, whether it is your gut, whether it is your joints, whether it is your anything stretchy and elastic in your body needs collagen. Therefore, not only that, one person might experience good skin benefits and the other won't, maybe it's not the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like how do you know which thing you need? I also wanted to ask, when you were talking about some of the enzymes and the DNA code and the polishing, I've got two girlfriends I was with this weekend, and they get that like melasma, that hyperpigmentation.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's listening, perhaps that has that issue, like, do one of your products work specifically to help with that?
So the latter would be incredible for that.
Okay.
In general, these type of we want to do two things when we're talking about any type of melasma. Is very interesting, and I have melasma as well, by the way. Melasma is very interesting because normally what we're going to say about a sign of aging that we want to kind of reverse, we're going to say, hey, that healed wrong. Basically, that was an injury that healed wrong, whatever that is. Because your body basically rebuilds itself all the time, and if it rebuilds itself wrong, it is now set. So we need to kind of re-break that area, like a broken bone that didn't heal well. We need to re-break that, and we then need to support healing, right? But here's the challenge. Melasma means you have a broken relationship with pigment production, with tyrosinase, or the enzymes that process the pigment and stimulate the secretion of melanin, which is the pigment in your skin. So we have a challenge. We might make it worse because we're stimulating, basically like renewal with a broken relationship with pigment. So we really need to make sure that we're dialed in as far as like the youthful, that polishing of the CD and the youthful function of the skin. One more thing that we can do is copious amounts of vitamin C that is not ascorbic acid. So sodium ascorbate, THD, MAP, very advanced types of vitamin C. And then we need to stimulate renewal. A couple of things that help do that. One is spermidine. Spermidine is maybe the most important one, and the other one is retinol, any type of vitamin A. Within that, we do need sun protection. Like that's the balance that we need to have. Sun protection, so nothing that stimulates or try to suppress stimulation of melanin, and then stimulation for repair.
Okay. So much good information. I feel like I'm almost more confused though now.
So that's the way to simplify things is, we can talk about ingredients per ingredient, but really we want to first of all think of the serum in our routine
Yeah.
as the product we go to have nuance in our routine. So when you have a company that sells you, a completely different system, for each and every concern, that would be a little bit of a red flag to me, because 99% of people would need the same moisturizer, the same face wash, the same sunblock, whatever else you have there. But where we have high level of active ingredients, and where we can have a nuanced routine, would be our serums. That's where one would differ from the other. And you choose a serum according to your concerns. So we can talk about the ingredient, but at the end of the day, choose a serum that's specifically for pigmentation, or for something that's more general, like the serum that we are talking about today, like the latter, that targets many different things. And that would be the way that you choose, the hero of your routine. I would also say that if you don't want to spend, because we're obviously like an expensive brand, there are more expensive products than ours, but we definitely are not cheap. And when I do speak to people, like we just were at a conference at the Health Optimization Summit in Austin, we have like 30 people saying, hey, we love your podcast, or we love the products, but I can't afford the products. I get it. I may obviously have recommendations depending on their concern that is more affordable. But if you had to like pick and choose a very effective serum that might be more expensive, and then the rest of your routine doesn't have to be top shelf. It could be, not expensive products.
So you're saying serum is the number one most important thing if people are going to focus on one thing, and then pick serum on your goals, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So like,
yes.
if you want to boost collagen, or if you have hyperpigmentation, or so I know you guys have the LADR serum. Do you have other ones? And like, why would someone choose one over the other? So if someone's listening to this and they're going to check out the Mother's Gift Guide with the discounts and all that, like, how do they know which serum to pick for what they have going on?
So to make things easier, we actually have like a routine finder. So technically speaking, they can answer a questionnaire. But yeah, we have like 6 different serums. So it would depend on if you're trying to tackle aging as a whole, which would be like mainly wrinkles and laxity. So collagen and elastin, basically. Do we want to target? And we obviously do everything from like upregulating the genes that are involved in it. But at the end of the day, depends on the company that you're going for. They would use different ingredients, but we target like the genes of collagen and elastin. Or another serum would be for hydration. Another one would be, so for example, general aging would be the youth reset serum. And then for hydration, it would be biobarrier. For pigmentation, it would be bioretinol. For specifically for red light, the one that was going to work the best and target everything in a more profound way, because but we need another tool for that, would be ladder serum. That's my favorite serum, the one that you're using by far. I think it's an incredible product. For acne, we actually recommend 2 products, because acne, I think we do recommend actually the ladder serum with red light therapy, but I think a lot of people who are who have teen acne, it's a bit of a stretch to like spend $200 every couple of months and buy the teen red light therapy. Will they use it? Will they not use it? So we actually recommend another company, which is called Siv, S-I-V. It's a $60 product, and it works pretty good. So that's for acne. And then we also can stack different serums. So let's say pigmentation is an issue for us, but also hydration. So we can stack 2 serums at once, or general aging, because that probably bothers most people. And but I also have a red light therapy product, so I'll use the latter before, and then when I'm done, I'm going to use the youth reset serum, and then continue my routine. There is many ways to kind of personalize it according to what you want and your budget, your attention span, which is a major one for me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's got to
Yeah,
be quick, right?
yeah.
All right, we've got about 10 minutes and I've got to fly, 9 minutes. I want to cover
Mm-hmm.
some good hot topics that people wanted to know about.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought to my private community wonderful woman, Trina Felber. She actually helped us make our own serum, which was really, really cool. And she taught us how to read labels. And I think I've talked to you about this, right? And she said, if you see water as the number one ingredient, throw it out. And I want to help people understand so they're not conflicted in what I'm sharing on my platform. And I
Yeah.
think Trina Serum is incredible. I use it every day. I love it. And I'm all for making my own. And then for people who don't want to make their own, I'm a huge fan of your products. And I know
Yeah.
water is one of the first ingredients, but one of the most important things about the water is the quality of the water.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the
Well,
water that you're using.
first of all, we actually use structured water, but a lot of people think it's woo, so we're not saying that. But I think it's a lot of people, and of course, I am sure a lot of people who say that the results at the end of the day are positive. So the fact that they're saying something that is a little bit epistemologically incorrect is okay. But water would be the first ingredient if you use water at all. Any product that would use any amount of water, water would be the first ingredient. And the reason is that it's not that. So the ingredient list does go from what we have the most amount of to the less amount, to the least
Of
amount.
Of course.
The issue is that, let's say I have a very high amount, the same amount that your skin's going to get if you had an NADIV every week, every day for a week. That would be about 3 to 5% NAD precursors in a serum. If I have 6% water in the serum, water is going to come first.
Right, but we're talking about like the quality of water. So understand, like
Yeah.
for tap water.
I 100% agree. I
Yeah.
just think I wouldn't read the label that way. And even if so, in a lot of the things that I would push for, by the way, is the as you said, the quality of every ingredient there, and how long we're keeping that product on our shelf, basically. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think there is a huge advantage of making your own product, because you don't have to make a lot of it. Yeah. And I think that's really the most important, like the freshness of the product. Now, when we talk about water, most water that is used in skincare is unfiltered tap water. And as we know from and it's in production facilities, right? So the pipes are probably not as new. So you're getting a lot of like metals, a lot of like heavy metals, a lot of many older, not only older, but it is known that many older people flush their medicine down the drain. So you're getting that as well. So the fact is that you are receiving a lot of ingredients that's not on the label. Mm-hmm. Purified water, if you see anywhere on the label purified water, it's a little bit of a marking scheme, because it doesn't comply with FDA regulations. FDA wants us to write on the label ingredients that it pre-approved. And water, any type of water, would be the name water. So it's tricky. You can't know. What we have done is we actually use basically we run a sonic wave through the water, and we irradiate it with red light, which both of them allow for structuring of the water a little bit, which allows the water to get absorbed together with active ingredients to absorb more easily into the skin. And what you would find is most of our products absorb, like most of the serums, absorb extremely quickly into the skin. And that's because of that. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right, why don't we cap with just kind of your background and like why you got into this? I think it's a pretty cool story, so people get to know where you're coming from, and then we'll make sure everyone's got the discount codes and they can watch and they can comment
Cool.
any questions if your team wouldn't mind answering post questions after the fact too.
Yeah. Awesome. So I actually started my first job after being the head of reconnaissance for Israeli Special Operations. I got recruited to a back then a medical laser company, therapeutic laser, which were freaking out because LEDs came into the market and they were much more affordable and did an amazing job at creating wavelengths at a specific wavelength, which until then was a little bit close to impossible with incandescent lighting. So they were freaking out, and I had the idea. I said, let's what I called back then. Let's recreate this company as a consumer-facing medical device. Let's take everything that we know and turn it towards the consumer. The consumer can buy it. Which, by the way, now this is called biohacking, really. But back then it wasn't. And we created the first red light therapy, consumer-facing red light therapy product that I'm aware of, and I'm sure we were not the only one. I'm sure other people have stories that are isolated to our story, but as far as I'm aware of, that was the first one in 2011, 2012. And we were like a traveling band. We were talking to all the doctors that had the lasers, and we tried to convince them that they should tell their patients about it. And we met their patients. And even though these patients were in rehab or whatever, they weren't excited about something that they needed to use at home on a regular basis until they heard the word skin health and wrinkles. Mind you, these people were not having, they weren't pain-free, they weren't living pain-free, but the idea was like, oh my God, this could also benefit my skin.
Yeah, I
And that was
good, right? Everyone just
yeah,
wants to look good.
and that was like a major selling point. And I know, and it's funny because today it's almost synonymous with red light therapy. No one knows or no one talks about the thyroid optimizing benefits, the neuralgia relieving benefits, blood circulation, and I can go on and on and on. No one talks about the fact that, we have people, drinking copious amounts of like supplements to optimize the release of their stem cells, but no one's talking about that red light therapy is one of the best things to support stem cell release to the tissue.
Yeah, I think it's starting to be part of the conversation. I hear that a lot. I mean, I know I'm in a bit of a bubble.
First of all, you are in the midst of the bubble.
But it's
so
you can look really good. You know this. People want to look good, but you can look really good. If you feel horrible, that is going to come through. Right?
yes.
So you're not going to look good if you don't feel good. Like it's from the inside out. I truly believe that. And you do too.
1,000,000%. But and within the same scope, we still see a lot of like we still see, for example, the idea of like masks, red light therapy masks that would cost the same as a panel that could do a lot more for you. Very prevalent. So the skin is so important, so important for the consumer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that was a aha moment for me. And when that company got sold, and we had some money in our pocket, we were really interested in investing in longevity. We didn't know how it's going to look like in the beginning. We loved NAD. We were doing NAD IVs. Mind you, it was very early. It was 2014, 2015. But when we invested in research for red light for NAD, we tried to get it through the skin the same way you would have now estrogen creams. And we found it was a total failure. And we applied it on my wife, Anastasia, who was an incredible biologist, on her dermatitis that she had on her cheek. And the reason we did it is because she had TMJ. So we tried to relieve the pain of the TMJ, And again, it didn't help, but it was incredible. It took the dermatitis away completely. And we had like a eureka moment. Oh, there's something there. So we basically pivoted. 2017, we pivoted to basically a skincare company. The first product came out in 2020, and since then, our goal is to be basically, as I said in the beginning, is to find the molecules that have the most evidence of reversing the biological age on a cell-to-cell basis and converting them to something that can be applied on the skin and treat skin aging.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, your mind, I can't even imagine being inside your mind. There's like molecules and Krebs cycle and mitochondrial, like all the pathways. But, for anyone listening, I think a really big takeaway here is like you're listening to someone who knows this field, who knows like the importance of clean skincare and effective skincare at a cellular level. Amate, I find you so fascinating. I definitely encourage people. I have to run. I know you do too. I definitely encourage people. Put your comments, put your questions below. We'll always think of things after the fact. And then, guys who are listening, like this is a perfect Mother's Day gift for the woman in your life. You can comment the word mama, MAMA, whether your partner has children or not. Like we are all nurturing and taking care of everyone around us. So grab some of the skincare. My two favorite products are the hyperbaric mask and LADR serum. I love them. You guys can ask me how I'm using them and when I'm using them. Answer all your questions as well. I want to say thank you so much for sharing some of your
Thank
beautiful brands
you.
with all of us and for continuing to create a wonderful product.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
I'm sure I will see you soon, probably
Yeah.
in Austin at end of May, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, cool. I'll find you there. Thanks, Amate.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.